Cole and Allah stepped out of the fusion coil chamber into a corridor washed in cool white light. For the first time since he'd arrived, no alarms rang and no panels flashed red. The quantum core behind them purred like a well-fed cat, its rhythm matching the steady beat of two hearts that now felt almost the same. The station had survived because they had survived together. They headed for operations to log the final repair. Crew members lining the passage broke into spontaneous applause, a ragged cheer that bounced off bulkheads and wrapped around them like a victory banner. Cole tried to wave it off, but the noise filled him with a warmth even the link couldn't translate. Beside him, Allah straightened her shoulders, amber eyes bright with something more than pride. She was seeing, perhaps for the first time, how humans celebrated triumph with noise, with laughter, with open admiration. Commander Saren waited at the main console, arms crossed and antenna twitching. Containment is locked, fusion grid stable, life support nominal, she said, reading the board. Then she looked up, voice softening. You two turned a worst-case scenario into a footnote. The diplomatic corps will want a full debrief. Cole shrugged. Write it up as creative. Field engineering, Allah added, and mutual trust. Her tone left no room for argument. Saren's gaze flicked between them, noting the subtle glow that pulsed along Ila's biosuit whenever Cole leaned closer. I'm authorizing 48 hours of downtime, she said at last. Use it. The order was less about rest and more about discretion. But Cole wasn't about to complain. Hours later, the station lounge rotated past a wide observation window, offering a slow panorama of distant nebulae. Cole and Allah sat at a small table, alone except for the muted stars. The link between them hummed like background music, no longer urgent, simply present. It's quieter now, Cole said. In my head, I mean, like we're breathing in the same room rather than shouting across it. Neural resonance settles with emotional equilibrium, Allah replied, but her smile teased the clinical words. We're synced at rest instead of crisis. He reached across the table, fingers brushing the glowing lines on her wrist. So what happens next? That depends on what you choose, she answered. My future used to be a data slate full of orders. Now, it feels unwritten. Cole thought of the shipyards on Luna, of repair crews that jumped system to system patching relic tech and living for the next paycheck. He thought of Elah's precise hands and fearless mind, and he thought of that first kiss, sparked by danger, but sustained by something deeper. Then let's write it together, he said. Your people designed you for perfection. Mine raised me on duct tape and stubbornness. Imagine what we could build if we combined both on purpose. Elah's eyes glowed brighter, the suit responding to her quickening pulse. Joint research into hybrid neural control, she mused. Portable quantum cores. Starships flown by linked crews rather than computers. And coffee, Cole added. You still haven't tasted real Earth coffee. Your nervous system barely tolerates it, she teased. Mine might short-circuit. Worth the risk. They spent the next day touring the station. No longer technician and supervisor, but partners exploring a playground of possibility in the machine shops. Cole sketched a modular cooling lattice, while Allah overlaid live schematics onto the air with her biointerface. In the botanic rings, she introduced him to thermal flowers that glowed like embers. He showed her how to make a whistle from a reed and a pocket knife. Everywhere they went, curious eyes followed a reminder that the universe still found wonder in unlikely unions. That evening, under the same observation window, Cole produced a small metal spacer, just a ring from his toolkit, polished until it caught the starlight. Not regulation, he said, slipping it onto her slender finger groove. But nothing about us is. Allah studied the improvised band as if it were the most intricate device she'd ever seen. Symbolic binding. Of intent, she murmured, voice rich with newfound emotion. Yes, I accept. The link pulsed, bright, And sure, somewhere deep in the station, sensors recorded an inexplicable spike of harmonic stability, side effect, perhaps, of two frequencies, choosing permanence. Cole pulled her close, forehead resting against hers. We saved a station by trusting what felt impossible. Let's see how far trust can take us. She answered with a kiss that tasted of metal and dawn, of burned-out fears and brilliant tomorrows. All around them, the silent stars witnessed the most human of victories. Connection forged in adversity, strengthened by choice, and aimed squarely at the infinite dot in that moment. Cole knew the old spacer ring would hold more power than any fusion coil he'd ever fixed, because every time Ela's suit shimmered, every time their thoughts brushed, every time a quantum core thrummed under their joined hands, the universe itself would remember that humans don't just mend machines. They build bridges between species, between minds, and between hearts, and then they dare to cross them. And that was a fix no future malfunction could ever undo. The connection between them lingered raw, electric, and impossible to ignore. Cole stood with Allah still touching his temples, her glowing amber eyes locked onto his. Her presence remained in his mind like an echo, a soft pulse beneath his thoughts. I thought the sync would fade once the core stabilized, he said quietly. Elah's fingers slid slowly away from his skin. It should have, but it didn't, he replied, his voice low. Why? She studied him, her face calm, but something flickered behind her gaze, something uncertain. Perhaps because you didn't resist it. I didn't know. I was supposed to. No one ever does, she said. The chamber lights had returned to a soft blue. The core now hummed with smooth, stable rhythm, calm, as if it had been soothed. But Cole's pulse hadn't calmed, not even close. He stepped back, needing space. So that's it. The station's safe. For now. The emergency systems will hold. She hesitated. But the sync left a trace, a neural imprint. Cole's brow furrowed, like ... a memory. More than that. I can still feel your thoughts. They're faint, disorganized, but real. He stared at her. You're in my head. She tilted her head. And you're in mine. Cole's breath caught. This isn't part of the job. Allah nodded. No, it's ... beyond protocol. He turned away, running a hand through his hair, trying to push the strange sensations aside. He could still feel her curiosity, like gentle fingers brushing his thoughts. And deeper than that, something warmer, something intimate. It wasn't just the link, was it? He asked. You've been watching me since I got here. Yes, she admitted. At first it was part of the station's monitoring. Human adaptability fascinates us, but you were different. You solved problems in ways I hadn't expected. Cole looked back at her, and that made you curious. Allah took a step forward, her suit shimmering slightly under the core's light. It made me feel. He stared. Feel what? Uncertainty, intrigue, desire, things I wasn't programmed to feel, things I didn't understand until the sync. The word desire hung in the air like static. Cole's voice dropped. What do you want from me, Allah? She stepped closer. To understand what this is, this connection. I want to know what happens if we don't shut it off. That sounds like a dangerous experiment. Most meaningful discoveries are. Her hand hovered near his again, but only if you want it to. He didn't answer with words. He closed the gap between them and kissed her. Her mouth was soft, warm, not alien in the way he expected. The suit between them thrummed with energy, pulsing like a heartbeat. Her body responded immediately, pressing against him with sudden heat. He felt her thoughts bloom in his head, surprise, hunger, affection. It was like falling into a star, when they pulled apart, breathless. The silence between them was charged. I wasn't expecting that, she whispered. Neither was I, he admitted. But I'm not sorry. A warning chime broke the moment, soft, but urgent. Allah turned, checking the console. Radiation levels are rising again, she said. Secondary coolant systems are lagging behind. Cole sighed. So the job's not done yet. Not entirely. They moved together this time, no longer needing words to coordinate. Her hand would move, and his followed. His instincts triggered hers. They were a rhythm, now two halves of something more powerful than either alone. He crawled beneath the control panel again, this time without dread. Hand me the plasma calibrator. Allah knelt beside him, passing the tool without hesitation. Your heart rate is elevated again. It tends to do that when I kiss someone like you, he said with a grin. Good, she murmured. So is mine. And just like that, the danger didn't feel so dangerous anymore. It felt like discovery, like the start of something. Impossible. Cole emerged from the cramped panel, housing with grease on his hands, and the scent of singed conduit lingering in the air. He didn't care. Not when Allah was crouched beside him, her glowing suit flickering softly as if reacting to his presence. Coolant bypass restabilized, he said, wiping his forehead. That'll hold the heat down for a few more hours. She nodded, eyes on him more than the diagnostics. You move like you've done this your whole life. Pretty much have. My father ran tech crews on Luniate. I grew up climbing through machines before I ever touched solid ground. I didn't have a childhood, she said softly. I was designed, trained, optimized. Her voice held no bitterness, but it cut deeper than anything else had. Cole stood and looked at her. That's supposed to scare me. No, she said. It's supposed to explain why I don't understand what I'm feeling. You understand? He said. You just don't trust it yet. Her amber eyes glowed warmer now. How can I? I was created to serve, not to want. He took a slow step forward. Then maybe it's time you get to choose. She blinked. Choose? Yeah, Cole said. Not because it's protocol. Not because someone wrote it in your mission file. But because you want to. The hum of the quantum core surrounded them like a heartbeat. Ila's gaze dropped to his chest, then slowly back to his face. I want to understand more. I want to feel it again. The connection. He reached out, his fingers brushing the soft light lines of her biosuit where it traced along her shoulder. Then let's reconnect. This time, she didn't hesitate. Their minds brushed again, like sparks across metal, and the link reignited, not driven by necessity, but by choice. Emotion passed between them effortlessly. He felt her curiosity, her wonder, her quiet ache for something more than duty. And she felt his warmth, his fear, his hope. We're still compatible, she whispered into his mind. More than that, he replied. We're something new. Just then, the emergency lights flickered again. Allah turned quickly. Containment fields fluctuating against a spike. But we need to act fast. Cole checked the console. Something's pulling too much energy. Feedback loop in the fusion grid. If we don't reroute, the whole system could short. We need to reach the fusion coil. It's 2 levels down, she said. I can go. No, he said. We go together. They ran through the narrow corridors of the station, boots echoing on the metal floors, the distant groan of pressure valves, warning of the strain the system was under. Their minds stayed linked, every step in sync, every thought like a shared heartbeat. They reached the coil room just as the outer shielding began to overheat. Steam hissed from ruptured pipes, and the temperature was climbing fast. System override requires 2 inputs, she said, already moving to one side of the chamber. We need to reroute the charge, or the core fails again. Ready when you are, Cole said. On my count. 3, 2, 1, now. They activated the overrides simultaneously. The lights flared, and the heat seemed to surge through the room like a wave. Cole gritted his teeth, but through the link he felt Ila's calm resolve, anchoring him, then dash stability. The coil's temperature dropped. The pressure readings settled. It worked. Again, Cole leaned back against the wall, breathing hard. We're really good at this. I told you, Allah said, walking toward him, her voice soft, but full of pride. We're compatible. On every level, he said, and this time, when she reached for his hand, he didn't hesitate. They stood together in the heat, no longer separated by species, systems, or orders just to people, daring to choose each other, and the station wasn't the only thing being held together by connection now. The moment Cole Walker stepped onto the derelict mining outpost, he knew he was in trouble. The station was old, patched together with more luck than logic, and the only reason he'd agreed to the repair job was the promise of hazard pay and solitude. That changed the second the lift doors opened to reveal the mechanic waiting for him. She wasn't human, tall, lean, with iridescent bronze skin and glowing amber eyes. She wore a grease-stained jumpsuit that somehow didn't hide the fact she moved like poetry in zero gravity. "You're late," she said, her voice low and musical, with a slight accent he couldn't place. "I didn't realize I was being met by royalty," he muttered, tossing his toolkit to the ground. "Name's Cole. You must be the local tech." "I am Allah. I oversee the station's quantum core systems. You're the human fixer they sent." "Fixer? That's me." He scanned the room, trying not to stare at her too long. "So, where's the damage?" Allah walked toward the core chamber, each step echoing with a smooth precision. "Main core's overheating. Faults in the containment loop. We've tried everything." Cole followed, boots clanking louder than hers. "You tried hitting it." With a wrench, Allah gave him a sideways look. "Your species always resorts to impact. Only when finesse fails," he grinned. "Show me." They entered a low-lit chamber where the heart of the station pulsed a throbbing orb of condensed energy, barely held in check by magnetic stabilizers. Red lights blinked all over the diagnostics console. "Core instability. Critical. Damn," he muttered. "This is bad." "I told you," Allah said, brushing her hand across a panel. Her long fingers danced over the controls with practiced ease, but there was strain in her posture. "We have less than 2 hours." He dropped to one knee by the primary conduit, flipping open the panel. "Then let's not waste time. Hand me the stabilizer spool." She crouched beside him, holding out the part. Her scent drifted toward him, warm, metallic, almost sweet. Too close, too smooth. "You're not from around here, are you?" he asked. "I was born on Theris 9. Grew up with machines instead of people. Sounds familiar?" Their eyes met. For a moment, hers glowed brighter. Then the floor shook. The chamber trembled, and the lights flickered. "Core surge," she said. "We need to vent the auxiliary lines." Cole swore and rolled under the console. As he twisted the valve, heat blasted out. "This station's a death trap." "I told you," Allah said, kneeling again. "But maybe I underestimated you." He grunted as he tightened the final bolt. "Don't fall for me yet, alien girl. I haven't even opened the emergency bypass." But Allah didn't laugh. Her gaze flickered across his face. Then she unzipped her jumpsuit halfway. Cole froze. Underneath, she wasn't wearing anything conventional. A second skin of translucent biofiber clung to her body, glowing with softly pulsing circuitry. Not just for show, he realized it was part of her. "What the hell are you doing?" he said, voice tight. "You said, it's overheating." "I'm adjusting for thermal load," she said calmly. "My physiology is part machine. It's efficient. Lady, I can't think straight when you're like that." Her head tilted slightly, amused. "Then focus, human. Or this place will blow in less than an hour." He looked at her, then back at the core, his heart racing. "Right? Focus. Let's fix this thing." But he knew already this was going to be the most dangerous job of his life. Not because of the core, because of her. Cole tried to ignore the way. The chamber's heat made sweat slide down the back of his neck core, the way Hila's glowing biosuit lit up each time she moved. He kept his eyes locked on the tangle of exposed conduits under the quantum drive casing. That was safer. That was mechanical, understandable. Diagnostics show pressure building in the secondary relay, Allah said from above him. If it ruptures, we lose containment. Cole wiped his forehead with his sleeve. Then we don't let it rupture. You need another pair of hands, she said, already kneeling beside him. I need space, he muttered. And maybe a cold shower. Allah gave him a blank look. You are overheating, he groaned. No, I mean yes, but not because of the core. She paused. I am distracting. Very, he admitted. She reached for a tool without breaking eye contact. That's not my intention. But it's useful to know. He pulled himself halfway out from the under panel. Useful how? Hila's lips curled slightly. Your stress response boosts reflexes and brain activity, makes you work faster. Cole stared at her. You're testing me? I am observing, she said. Is that not what humans do in field conditions? He shook his head, partly in disbelief, partly to clear it. Let's just get this fixed before we both become radioactive dust. They moved in sync now. Allah called out readings while Cole adjusted volt regulators and sealed a cracked relay with temporary fusion gel. As he worked, he couldn't help but admire her hands steady, sure, and not quite human. He wondered what else about her was more than she let on. System pressure stabilizing, he said, but the core is still misaligned. It's like it's fighting itself. Allah rose, crossing the chamber to the main calibration console. That's because it is. Your human tech relies on linear balance. Our systems require harmony, which means we must synchronize with it manually. He stood slowly. Manually, as in, what? Neuralink calibration, she said. Direct mind-to-core interface. Cole stared. You're joking. Her gaze didn't waver. It requires both of us. The station's hybrid tech is responsive to emotional frequency. That's why they sent you. Me. His heart skipped. Wait. They knew this would happen. Allah turned back to the panel. They suspected. Human presence helped stabilize the system. Cole rubbed the back of his neck. You could have warned me before I walked into a psychic bonding experiment. I didn't want to influence your natural behavior. He blinked. You've been watching me. She stepped closer again. You're fascinating, Cole Walker. Unpredictable, intense, the opposite of controlled programming. He tried to breathe through the tension building in his chest. So what now? You link with me, read my mind, and we just fix everything. She placed her hand gently against his chest. Not read, sync. There's a difference. He looked at her hand, then at her face. This isn't standard repair protocol. No, she said softly. But neither are you. Before he could respond, the chamber pulsed again. Warning lights flashed red. We're out of time, she said. Cole took a deep breath and nodded. Then let's sync. Allah lifted both hands to the sides of his head, her fingers cool and gentle against his temples. Close your eyes. He did. A flash of light, a crackle of energy. Then suddenly, he wasn't alone in his own mind. Allah was there. Not just her voice, but her presence. Cool and bright and strange. He felt her thoughts touching his, curious, fascinated, a little guarded, and something else. Something warmer, connection established. They moved together to the console linked. Now, not just by task, but by thought. She saw the problem before he did, and guided his hands. He adjusted frequencies she couldn't feel. Together, their synergy calmed the pulsing heart of the core. Pressure readings leveled. Lights shifted from red to amber to soft green. Cole blinked. We did it. But Hila's hands didn't move. Her voice echoed through his mind. Synchronization. Successful. But we are still connected. He swallowed hard. Can we stop it? Yes, she said, softly. But, do you want to? Their eyes met again, and for the first time, Cole didn't look away.